Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday. It is the Earthmaster out here, about 12:14 p.m. California time. The date today, October 29th, 2024. Don't want to go backwards in time. I'm looking for the cooler weather, not hotter weather. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a zero point 0.7 and also, another zero point 0.7 there across the west coast with a couple of microquakes coming in to the San Jacinto fault zone, just off the San Andreas fault here. Now, got a little bit of uptick going on here across the Long Valley supervolcano area, northern edge of the Owens Valley region, with some current activity as well here in the last couple hours. Looks like the largest in this cluster going to be 2.0 so far today out there across the old volcanic tablelands area. As far as anything above 2.5 today along the west coast, let's see, 2.9 or 2.5, down here outside the Barstow area. That's one of the latest quakes there. In terms of anything above 2.5. Aside from that, mostly smaller microquake activity out here today. Really no big push, no big elevated event in terms of earthquake activity happening out there in California for now. Pacific Northwest, relatively quiet as well, aside from a handful of smaller quakes. Idaho and the rest of the Intermountain West areas are fairly quiet today. Not for sure what's going on. Just happens to be one of those days here where there's not a whole lot of seismic uptick going on here across the area for now. Nothing big, but in the last hour, there's definitely a handful here kind of lighten up across the west coast, but relatively small, very small earthquakes in the area. Oil fields out here in Texas getting hit. Nothing above 2.5. General small microquake stretching in the line out here towards the Midland and beyond here around Snyder, Texas. A lot of oil fields out there. The Appalachian Mountains here, one earthquake from yesterday, a little 2.2. Aside from that, fairly quiet conditions out there across the states for now. Latest activity on the map here shows a 5-pointer out in the southern mid-Atlantic Ridge area. This is the probably about the second one we've seen out here within the region in the last week. Starting to pick up a little bit out here across the Great Atlantic Rift area. That should stir things further out here across the rest of the region when we get these separation of the zones here. These are divergent boundaries and a couple of fracture zones out here. All right, so far the largest magnitude out here today going to be this 5.2 back here across the Fiji area. 350 miles deep for that 5.2, striking out there about 1:30 in the morning a.m. local time here, California. This was quite a few hours ago, about 10 hours, 11 hours or so ago. And then we got some further adjustment happening here across the Vanuatu area. Mostly deeper quake activity here in the area. Really no large-scale surface adjustment going on yet, but expect that to kick up here anytime. Got a whole bunch of deep earthquake activity here in the last couple days, ramping up across this area. Nothing major going on there across New Zealand for now. Just looks like some threes across the plate boundary, 4.7 a little bit further south. That, is today's, looks like a little hotspot area in terms of a visual migration pattern here across the plate boundary. Definitely working its way down south here across the area, so we'll watch that. Not too often do we see this type of setup out here all across the plate boundary there down to the end of it, but it's bumping up here today a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on that region. A little bit quieter out here across the Middle America Trench and the South America area. These are some older quakes there from yesterday. Aside from a 3.1, looks like coming in right now. South Sandwich Trench down here, 5.1 earthquake. That is being reported here by the USGS. Fairly deep here into the southern end of this subduction zone. Just a couple hours or so ago for that 5.1, 94 miles deep there for that quake. Puerto Rico Trench area. It's been a hot spot of swarming here in the last couple days. Still some more threes out there. The latest, a 3.5, a little bit closer here to the Puerto Rico area north of the region, though. And again, no major big earthquake activity, just a little swarming going on out there recently in that area. As far as Alaska goes, a little bit of movement here across the Aleutian Trench earlier yesterday. I'm not really seeing anything else out here today along that region. Mostly smaller microquake activity up and down the board there today. So I guess we'll just kind of see how things play out today. Still fairly quiet out here across the Japan region. Some movement from yesterday there in the Kamchatka Trench area, northern end. But aside from that, that's pretty quiet out there still. Deeper activity here across the Java Trench. Getting a swarm of deeper activity out here on the globe here recently. So things are destined to pick up here in terms of larger scale and elevated seismic activity here soon. Across the Mediterranean area just outside of Turkey, a 4.8 coming in. Fairly recent. Nothing showing up here on the USGS map, though. Looks like it's going to be right here around the Crete area, where that 4.8, maybe a little bit further to the south here, around the Cyprus area. And aside from that, mostly normal, typical earthquake activity out here. Really nothing of any elevated movements for now. But definitely down here, we got something stirring up across this area. That's a well-defined visual migration pattern there across New Zealand. So we'll keep watching that. Space weather activity. Man, we're still getting hammered here with proton events. It's been going on here for about 5 days now, I would say. I don't see any signs of it letting up out here. This is mainly affecting the communication systems there, high frequency communication systems, also some navigation systems out there. These charged protons have a way of affecting the ionosphere and the radio transmissions there across the area. So unless you're up there around, Greenland, extreme northern Russia, or down in Antarctica, I don't think we have anything to worry about. Really not affecting the inner regions there at the surface level of the Earth. Let's go back here and see what else we got. No major flaring going on. Looks like a little bit of C flare activity. Well, we peaked out into M flare maybe in the last couple hours in M1.1. But nothing major going on here yet. We do have a couple different active regions coming around the bend. Northeastern limb here looking quite active. Grab a drink here real quick before my voice crackles. Still not completely over this yet. It's a lingerer, that's for sure. It's definitely been lingering on. So here's a couple different sunspots. Let's take a look at the more recent view, which is right here. Fairly ginormous looking sunspot area on the northeastern limb of the sun. That very capable of producing some larger flares. A number of these sunspots are. In fact, this area, excuse me, this specific region here looks a little bit more advanced today with close proximity centered around that sunspot core. That one could produce a strong flare at any given time today. Really not expecting too much across this area. We're getting separation from that core. And the majority of these down here look like they're starting to fade and decay. So I'm really not too concerned with this area for flaring right now. Going to be these two sunspots that are going to be venturing a little bit more into the Earth-directed view here in the coming days. So we'll watch those. That's going to be 3878 and the newer sunspot region out there, probably 3879, right? More than likely that's going to be the number that is assigned. It is right there. It's growing. A couple different sunspots out there growing. A little bit of aurora activity, surprisingly, kicking up out of the blue. Not forecasted, but it looks like things are kicking up a small amount with some aurora activity there across Greenland and Iceland area. If you have dark skies out there, or clear skies as well, you might be able to see a chance of the aurora activity. Nothing major going on, and there is really nothing major in the forecast in terms of elevated aurora activity for now. Elevated threat still remains at 25% for the X flare. M flare 75, C flare around 99% chance or so. And yeah, so let's check out the Storm Prediction Center. Tomorrow, big severe weather day out in the southern plains. Goodness, we got an enhanced area out here across Kansas, Oklahoma, portions of Missouri as well, extreme northeast or southeastern Nebraska, with a decent chance for tornado activity out there. And some of those tornadoes can be rather strong. Look at that hatched area out there. The hatched area is a 10% or greater probability of an EF2 to the top-notch EF5 tornado within about 25 miles of a point. So I already see Reed Timmer and quite a few other storm chasers heading out there to set up for the event tomorrow. This is going to linger into tomorrow night as well. So it's going to be for Wednesday and Wednesday night into early Thursday. Big time severe weather potential out here, folks. Not anything to joke around with. As you can see, there's a decent chance here for some tornado activity. Aside from that, we got some wind and a fairly large area of hail potential as well for this area. So just a heads up there, folks, if you're out there in that region. That is mainly due primarily because of this low pressure system here that we just got through dealing with along the west coast. Heading over here, interacting with the warmer, moist air, and that's going to create the severe weather convection across a wide swath here. But these guys need a lot of rain. I've seen the drought map here recently, and these guys are they're behind on their rainfall, so I'm sure they're going to be appreciative of any rainfall they get. But unfortunately, there's that chance of severe weather that comes along with it. Another low pressure system there for Halloween. It looks like for the Pacific Northwest, potentially down into Northern California as well. Really not expecting a super soaker for Halloween, at least here in Northern California. Oregon, Washington, a different story. Looks like we could have a number of severe weather days out here across the southern plains. Here is for Wednesday and a Thursday. As you can see, another low pressure center sets up here and brings significant severe weather track again as we head into the weekend and potentially lingering around. Look at that. Wow. So you guys are going to have a lot of rain coming up here. Oklahoma, Kansas, eastern areas in the Missouri, and even further up here. A lot of rainfall coming your way, but that looks like maybe another severe weather event as we head into next week as well. Goodness. And maybe another one as we head towards the end of next week. So got to watch the weather here. We're getting into that time of year where things can definitely get crazy out here. We got a lot of intermixing of the patterns and the jet stream, and that's when things get really going out here. Looking forward to this. We need some rain out here in California. We'll take all we can get. And it looks like there's going to be a series of storm systems here coming into the west coast. And a lot of this looks like some zonal type of flow, linear, with maybe the patterns here staying consistently severe, potentially out here across the southern plains area. So as we head into the middle of November, a lot of rain coming for the folks out there, but severe weather threats included. So just stay safe and be on guard. Aside from that, folks, a pair of hurricanes down there in the Gulf of Mexico and off in the Atlantic. That's a ways out there. Nothing significantly coming close to land, but we will watch it as we get a little bit closer to that time period. All right, seismograph stations are up online, except for the Port Alberni station there. That's offline, BC region. So we'll drop this down a little bit to include New Zealand. That's obviously an area of uptick here today. We'll continue to watch that with that migrational pattern there taking place across the plate boundary. Aside from that, folks, have yourself a wonderful day. And I can't believe Halloween's coming up here in 2 days. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Come to think, November's coming up. Goodness. All right, have a good day, folks. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. I got quite a bit of schoolwork to do, along with trying to get myself better here. I'm going to stock up and load myself up with some vitamin C right now so I can hopefully kick this thing. Have a good day. We'll catch you guys later.